Imagine this. You have worked for 40 years to pay off your mortgage. You decide to take a well-deserved 2-week holiday to Spain with your family. You lock the front door, you set the alarm, and you leave your biggest financial asset, your home, secure. 2 weeks later, you return. You are tired, you have jet lag, and you just want to sleep in your own bed. You put your key in the lock. It doesn't turn. You jiggle it. Nothing. Then you notice the lock looks new. You look through the letterbox, and you see a stranger walking around your living room wearing your bathrobe, drinking your wine, and watching your television. Panic sets in. You bang on the door. You scream. The stranger opens the window upstairs and shouts, "Go away, I live here now!" You call the police immediately. You think the cavalry is coming. You think they will kick the door down and drag this intruder away in handcuffs. But when the police arrive, they don't draw their batons. They look at the intruder's fake tenancy agreement. They look at you and they say the 6 words that will ruin your life. "Sorry, this is a civil matter." They get back in their car and drive away, leaving you standing on the pavement homeless while a stranger sleeps in your bed. This is not a movie plot. This is a reality for thousands of property owners across the United Kingdom. We are in the middle of a squatter crisis. The laws in this country are so twisted, so outdated, and so biased against the homeowner that criminal gangs and professional squatters are exploiting them to steal properties in broad daylight. In this video, I am going to expose the squatters' rights myth. I am going to explain why Section 144 of the Legal Aid, Sentencing and Punishment of Offenders Act, which was supposed to ban squatting, is failing to protect you. I will reveal the fake lease scam that freezes the police in their tracks. And I will tell you exactly why, if you try to break into your own house to remove them, you are the one who will end up in a prison cell. You need to watch this video until the very last second. Do not skip a single chapter, because in part 2, I'm going to give you the Fortress checklist. I will explain the specific legal notices you must display on empty properties, the type of alarm system that legally constitutes a break-in rather than a squat, and the Interim Possession Order strategy that can cut the eviction time from months to days. If you own a home, a rental property, or even a commercial unit, this information is your insurance policy. Stick around, because we are about to dismantle the legal system that protects thieves. Before we dive into the nightmare, I have a small request. We are the only channel exposing these legal loopholes that the mainstream media ignores. If you want to protect your property and stay ahead of the curve, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It takes 2 seconds. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps us fight the algorithm and reach more homeowners before they become victims. Thank you. Now, let's talk about why you don't actually own your home. To understand why the police won't help you, you have to understand the difference between trespassing and breaking and entering. In the UK, trespassing is not a criminal offence. It is a civil tort. That means if someone walks through your unlocked front door, sits on your sofa, and refuses to leave, they have not technically committed a crime against the state. They have committed a civil wrong against you. The police deal with crimes. The courts deal with civil wrongs. That is the fundamental disconnect. Now, you might be screaming at the screen, "But it's my house! Squatting in residential property was made illegal in 2012. You are right. Section 144 of the LASPO Act made it a criminal offence to squat in a residential building. In theory, the police should arrest them, but here is the loophole the size of a double-decker bus. The entry requirement. For the police to arrest them, they need proof that the squatters are trespassers. Here is how the scam works. The squatters break in when you are not looking. They change the locks immediately. When the police arrive, the squatters come to the door and produce a tenancy agreement. It is a piece of paper they printed off the internet. It has a fake landlord's name, a fake signature, and a fake date. They say, We rented this place yesterday from a guy named Dave. We paid him £2,000 cash deposit and a month's rent. Here is the receipt. At this moment, the police officer is stuck. He is not a judge. He cannot prove the document is fake on the doorstep. He sees two conflicting stories. You say, "They are squatters." They say, "We are tenants." If the police officer forcibly removes them and it turns out they were legal tenants who were scammed by a fake landlord, the police force can be sued for illegal eviction. So, the police default to the path of least resistance. They say, "We cannot determine the truth here. You need to go to court and get a possession order. It is a civil matter," and just like that, the criminal protection of Section 144 evaporates. You are now locked in a legal battle that will cost you £5,000 and take 6 months while they destroy your house. But it gets worse. Let's talk about Section 6 of the Criminal Law Act 1977. This is the piece of legislation that effectively criminalises you for trying to take your own house back. The law states that if there is someone in a property who opposes your entry and you use violence to enter, you are committing a crime. Violence includes breaking a window, kicking down the door, or even barging past them. So, picture the scene. You are standing outside your own house. You have the title deeds in your hand. The squatter is inside, laughing at you through the window. If you pick up a brick and smash the window to climbs, the squatter calls the police. The police arrive. They arrest you for violent entry under Section 6. The squatter stays inside. You go to the station. This is the insanity of the British legal system. The law prioritises public order over property rights. They would rather you lose your house for 6 months than have a fistfight on the doorstep. Now, let's discuss the commercial property trap. While residential squatting is technically a crime, subject to the loopholes I just mentioned, squatting in commercial property is not a crime. It is 100% legal. If you own a shop, an office, a warehouse, or a pub that is currently empty, you are a sitting duck. Squatters can break in, as long as they don't cause criminal damage, which is hard to prove. Set up a mattress and live there legally. The police have absolutely no power to remove them unless they commit other crimes like theft or damage. We are seeing a massive rise in commercial squatting because professional squatters know the law. They target empty pubs and high street shops. They move in groups of 10 or 20. They tap into the electricity supply, which is illegal but often ignored as a civil dispute with the energy company. They strip the copper piping. They hold raves. And when you finally get the court order to evict them 3 months later, they vanish into the night, leaving you with £10,000 worth of damage and a clean-up bill for human waste and needles. The tenant from hell is another variation of this crisis. This is technically holding over, but it feels exactly like squatting. You rent your house to a nice couple. They pay the first month. Then they stop. They change the locks. They refuse to let you in for inspections. In the UK, it can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to evict a non-paying tenant through the Section 21 or Section 8 process. During that time, you are paying the mortgage, you are paying the legal fees, and you are powerless. If you try to go in and change the locks while they are out, you are committing a criminal offence under the Protection from Eviction Act 1977. You could face jail time and unlimited fines. The system is rigged entirely in favour of the occupier, regardless of whether they are paying or not. I want to highlight the professional squatter demographic. We tend to think of squatters as homeless people looking for shelter. That exists, of course, but the real threat comes from the organised groups. These are politically motivated activists or criminal gangs. They have legal handbooks. They have websites that list empty properties. They share information on which police forces are soft on eviction. When they take over a building, the first thing they do is tape a Section 6 warning notice to the front door. This is a legal document that warns the police and the owner that any attempt to enter without a court order is a criminal offence. When the police see that notice, they back off. Immediately. It is like a magic shield. And let's talk about the cost. The financial ruin. It is not just the lost rent. It is the legal fees. A standard possession order costs hundreds in court fees, plus solicitors' fees which can run into the thousands. Then you have to pay for the bailiffs. County court bailiffs are currently overwhelmed. In London, there is a waiting list of several months just to get a bailiff appointment. So, even after the judge says, yes, it is your house, you might wait another 4 months to actually get the keys back. In that time, the squatters know the game is up, so they spitefully damage the property. They pour concrete down the drains. They rip out the wiring. They smear excrement on the walls. This is known as trashing, and it is their final act of revenge before they move on to the next victim. Is there any hope? Yes, but only if you act fast and use the correct legal instruments. The Interim Possession Order, IPO, is a powerful tool for commercial properties and some residential cases, but it has a very strict time limit. You must apply within 28 days of finding out about the squatters. If you wait 29 days, you lose the right to use the fast track, and you are stuck in the slow lane. Most homeowners don't know this. They try to negotiate first. They write letters. They wait. And by doing that, they destroy their own case. Into the next part of this video, I'm going to walk you through the precise steps you need to take the moment you discover a squatter. I will explain the Goldstein defense, a specific way of securing your property that makes it legally impossible for them to claim residency. I will also tell you about live-in guardians, a service where you put a legal caretaker in your empty property to block squatters, which is often cheaper than paying business rates on an empty building. But you are not helpless if you know the system better than they do. We need to talk about the nuclear option. Can you pay someone to kick them out? This is the grey area of common law eviction. Under common law, a landowner has the right to remove a trespasser using reasonable force, provided the trespasser has not established residency. This is the crucial window. If you catch them in the first 24 hours, before they have set up beds, cooked meals or received mail, they are merely intruders. They are not yet occupiers. There are specialist security firms, often staffed by ex-military or ex-police who specialise in this. They do not use court orders. They use speed and intimidation. They arrive at 4 a.m. They wait for a squatter to leave the property to buy cigarettes, and they rush the door. Once they are inside, the tables turn. They become the legal occupiers, and the squatter becomes the intruder trying to get back in. It costs between £2,000 and £5,000. It is risky. If they use too much force, you could be liable. But for many, desperate landlords losing £3,000 a month in rent, it is a calculated risk they are willing to take. However, for most people, the legal route is safer. This brings us to the Interim Possession Order, IPO. This is the weapon you must use. An IPO is a fast-track court order designed specifically for squatters. It is much quicker than a standard possession claim. If the court grants an IPO, the squatters must leave within 24 hours of being served the papers. Here is the magic of the IPO. If they do not leave within 24 hours, they are committing a criminal offence. This changes the game. Suddenly, the police can arrest them. You can call 999 and say, "I have an IPO, the 24 hours have expired. Come and arrest these criminals." The police cannot say it's a civil matter because the court order has made it a criminal matter. But there is a catch, because there is always a catch. You must apply for an IPO within 28 days of discovering the squatters. If you hesitate, if you try to be nice, if you wait 6 weeks to see if they leave on their own, you lose the right to use the IPO. You are thrown back into the slow, expensive standard possession pile. The clock starts ticking the moment you find out. Do not delay. Now, let's talk about the fortress checklist. How do you stop them getting in? Squatters look for soft targets. They look for piles of uncollected mail. They look for curtains that never move. They look for "to let" signs that stay up for months. Strategy number 1. The anti-leaflet protocol. If your property is empty, tape up the letterbox. Literally seal it shut from the inside. One of the most common tricks squatters use is to push a wire through the letterbox to hook the keys if you left them on the stairs, or simply to open the latch. Or they use the letterbox to peer inside and check for furniture. If the letterbox is sealed, they can't see in, and they can't fish for keys. Install a cage behind the letterbox if you must keep it open. Strategy number 2. Digital timers. Do not just leave a light on in the hall. That is obvious. Get smart plugs. Set the living room lamp to come on at 6 p.m. and go off at 11 p.m. Set a bedroom light to go on at 10:45 p.m. Set a radio to play TalkSport or Radio 4 during the day. Squatters listen at the door. If they hear voices, even from a radio, they will move on to the next house. They want an empty house, not a confrontation. Strategy number 3. The Guardian solution. If you have a commercial building or a large house that is going to be empty for months, maybe you are waiting for planning permission, do not leave it empty. Hire property guardians. Companies like Camelot or Ad Hoc will place vetted professionals in your property to live there at a reduced rent. This is a win-win. The guardians get cheap rent in a city like London. You get 24/7 security. A squatter cannot squat in a building that is already occupied. Furthermore, occupied buildings are exempt from empty property rates, business rates, which can save you a fortune in taxes. It turns a liability into a small asset. Strategy number 4. Sitex screens. If you are renovating and the house is a building site, do not rely on a wooden front door. Rent steel security screens. These are perforated steel sheets that bolt over the windows and doors. They are ugly. They scream "this house is empty," but they are impenetrable. You cannot crowbar a steel screen. If you are in a high-risk area, pay for the steel. It is cheaper than paying for a lawyer. We also need to address the fake lease scam in more detail because this is what stops the police. If you find squatters and they show the police a lease, do not just stand there. You need to prove immediately that the lease is a forgery. Ici, by having your real paperwork on your phone. Create a property digital vault. Scan your land registry title deed. Scan your council tax. Bill in your name. Scan your insurance documents. Keep them in a Dropbox or Google Drive folder accessible from your phone. When the police say they have a lease, you show the officer your title deed and say, "I am the owner. I did not sign that lease. Compare the signature on their fake paper to my ID right now." Challenge the details on their lease. Ask the police to ask the squatters, how much is the rent? Who is the landlord? What is his phone number? Usually, the squatters don't know the details because they just printed a template. If you can poke holes in their story on the doorstep, you might, just might, convince the officer that this is a burglary in progress, not a tenancy dispute. It depends on the confidence of the officer, but you have to give them the ammunition to act. Finally, we must talk about the aftermath. The cleanup. When you finally get your property back, do not expect it to be clean. Squatters often strip the copper pipes and the boiler to sell for scrap metal. They may leave booby traps, needles hidden in sofa cushions, or razor blades taped behind door handles. This is a common tactic to injure bailiffs and landlords. Do not stick your hands down the back of seats. Do not walk around in soft-soled shoes. Hire a professional clearance company that deals with hazardous waste. It will cost money, but it is better than contracting hepatitis from a needle stick injury. And check your insurance policy today. Most standard home insurance policies exclude damage caused by squatters or have a malicious damage clause that is void if the property was left unoccupied for more than 30 days. If your house is empty, you need specialist unoccupied property insurance. If you don't have it, you are not covered. The squatter crisis is a symptom of a broken housing market and a broken legal system. The government relies on private landlords to house the nation, but refuses to protect them from theft. Until the law is changed to make all squatting, residential and commercial, an immediate arrestable offence with no civil matter loopholes, you are on your own. You are the guardian of your own castle. Secure it, monitor it, and if they break in, act within the first 28 days with an IPO. Do not let your compassion be used as a weapon against you. I want to know your stories. Have you ever returned home to find a stranger inside? Have you dealt with the fake lease scam? Leave a comment below. I read every single one, and your stories help warn others. And if this video has opened your eyes to the risks of property ownership in 2026, please hit that like button. It helps us expose these legal loopholes to the masses. Make sure you are subscribed and have the notification bell turned on. In my next video, I am going to expose the council tax bankruptcy, why councils like Birmingham and Nottingham are effectively bankrupt, and why they are planning to hike your council tax by up to 20% to pay for their mistakes. You simply cannot afford to miss that analysis. Until then, double lock your doors, check your insurance, and I will see you in the next one.